How was your day today? Hi, welcome. We are Why Is It So? And you've arrived at our podcast series that often starts with why questions, using first principles thinking to offer you diverse perspectives on various life issues. To truly embrace life with us, let's dive into this episode. What shape is midautumn? Boom, 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 the drums resound outside the communal house. A joyous lion dances round and round. If I had to use one word to describe the Midautumn Festival, I think vibrant or bustling would be the most fitting. A joyful excitement bubbles within children's hearts, and this cheerfulness spreads to the surroundings, painting the streets in festive colors. Midautumn is the children's festival, yet it's only one night long. But children anticipate and excitedly await it from the beginning of the month. Small grocery stores are adorned with dazzling blue and red lanterns, overflowing with glitter-studded toys and shimmering ribbons. Kids flock to them, gazing and wishing endlessly. What shape is midautumn? When I was asked this, I thought of the roundness of the moon. Our ancestors believed that throughout the year, no day's moon was as beautiful and bright as the full moon of the 8th lunar month. This was also the time when heaven and earth were at their most beautiful and peaceful, with the mildest weather of the year. During their leisure, after the initial rice planting when the fields were flooded with water, our ancestors devised a way to gaze at the moon. They set up feasts, made many kinds of cakes, and called it the moon-gazing banquet. They also taught that to have a good harvest in the 5th month, one only needed to observe the full moon of the 8th month. Just by looking at the moon's color, they could predict the harvest. If the autumn moon was yellow, that year would bring a good silk harvest. If it was green or emerald, there would be natural disasters. And if the autumn moon was orange, the nation would prosper. That's how midautumn was for adults. As for the children then, none cared about harvests or young rice. What they cared about most were probably the feast and the thrilling stories under the bright, luminous moon. In my time, fairy tales on moonlit nights weren't just about Koi and Hang. They were a series of stories passed by word of mouth from one child to another, originating from some child's terrifying imagination. Then the whole group would scream in fear, but still eagerly want to hear more. The 15th day of the 8th lunar month is also known as Vong, the day when the moon and earth are almost perfectly aligned. On this day, a special energy surge is created, negatively impacting all beings. It can make people more aggressive, even triggering physical transformations. That's also when a savage obsession emerges, known as the werewolf. Werewolves are ordinary people cursed to transform into fearsome beasts on full moon nights, spreading terror everywhere. Sitting on the straw mat spread in the communal courtyard, we children listened in hushed silence, our hearts pounding, legs trembling. Some of us occasionally held our breath, listening for any wolf howls nearby. That's why listening to or reading stories can sometimes be more captivating than watching movies. With the same plot, each child's mind conjures an entire magical world from their imagination, something hard to find these days. The children gathered in the communal courtyard, while the adults sat on the steps, chatting and soaking in the atmosphere they once belonged to. Why does the werewolf in Nam's story sound like his uncle? An adult spoke from behind. It turns out, people aren't just fierce and grumpy on the full moon. Some people are ill-tempered and destructive all year round. Yet, the moon doesn't drive people mad, nor is it connected to the list of human sufferings. Many also say that the moon has a great influence on tides, and tides are water. The human body is also primarily water, so by transitive property, the moon strongly influences humans. However, scientific evidence doesn't agree with that deduction. Moonlight is just moonlight. Let the full moon remain perfectly itself. The full moon of the 8th lunar month will forever be the most beautiful moon of the year. Its gentle, perfectly round light illuminating the entire world. Let yourself drift with the shimmering moon and embrace gentle love. What shape is midautumn for children? It's the round shape of Grandpa's old bicycle wheel. Every afternoon, he'd ride the child around town, picking up bamboo to make a star lantern for his grandchild. In the child's memory, every midautumn festival was linked to Grandpa's back as he sat on the porch, whittling bamboo. He'd skillfully split old bamboo stalks into strips, then weave them together, tying the ends with wire to form a star frame. The child would excitedly cling to his leg, choosing cellophane paper in blue, yellow, orange, and red, carefully smearing it with sticky rice glue, and handing it to Grandpa to paste onto the star frame. Grandma would often say, Why don't you just buy one from the market? It's faster. Why go through all this trouble, sweating all afternoon? Grandpa would just smile. It's only once a year. Doing it myself still feels fun. The child would giggle, reaching out with both hands for the lantern Grandpa made. They'd bring it close to the blue and red cellophane, directing the paper towards the electric light bulb. At that moment, they saw a whole forest of moons, filled with loving affection. Grandpa wanted to passionately make those star lanterns himself because, for him, the most wonderful time was bringing the child a complete childhood, sowing smiles and cultivating deep love and appreciation. Midautumn also has the round shape of the wooden feast tray, the roundness of green pomelos. Grandmothers and mothers would carve papayas into various exotic flowers and plants, turn pomelos into fluffy dog figures, and knead dough into charming, colorful animal shapes, alongside all kinds of seasonal fruits. According to folk beliefs passed down through generations, the full moon day is when ancestors and deities visit their descendants in the human world. Because it's a full moon, the fruit tray symbolizes filial piety, righteousness, and the fruit of life, a way to remember one's roots and the nurturing hands of grandparents and parents. On this occasion, the kids would show off, gathering to parade around the neighborhood, discussing whose feast was the most beautiful, who's had the most delicious candies. What would midautumn be for children without the round shape of baked mooncakes and sticky rice cakes? Round mooncakes represent the shape of the full moon on the 15th of the 8th lunar month, symbolizing completeness, abundance, and joyful reunion. Vien, round in Sino-Vietnamese, means full and complete. People connect the idea of the moon's roundness with the reunion of family members. That's why traditional mooncakes are often round, symbolizing this fullness and perfection. It also implies that even after traversing the entire Earth, the center of the circle will still be your home. What shape is midautumn? Midautumn has a round shape in the movement of the revolving lanterns, den kioquan. Also known as wooden, shadow lanterns, these are wooden and paper toys originating from China. When a candle is lit inside, the designed images appear on the lantern's surface like shadow puppets and continuously rotate in one direction without stopping. People associate this circular motion with the reversal of memories, like when a person is about to depart from the mortal realm, calling it the Hoi Quang Fan Chiu, deathbed lucidity phenomenon of the revolving lantern. Hoi Quang Fan Chiu is when a critically ill person, whose body is weak, suddenly becomes clear-headed, strong, or laughs heartily, wanting to eat and drink. Typically, a patient in this state passes away about 2 hours later. It's likened to a lamp before it goes out, its flame naturally flaring brightly. There's also a theory that when a person is about to die and transition to another world, their soul gradually withdraws from the body from the feet, abdomen, arms, and finally from the heart and brain. When the mind is light and peaceful, no longer influenced by matter, that person can become lucid and strong. What images, specifically, do you think one would see at that moment? The circle carries many symbolic meanings. We often think of it as representing roundness, completeness, and abundance. But actually, because it's round, it rolls easily, it's unstable, it doesn't stand still. It will go, but then it will return just like love. That day, Grandma gave my father a cake, and he brought it home for my little sister because she was always skinny. My sister received the cake just as she saw me coming home from the countryside, so she gave it to me. I excitedly unwrapped the cake. Then Mom came home from the market, and I immediately offered it to her. Mom doesn't like sweets, so she refused and told me to give it to Grandma because the cake was soft, and Grandma could eat it since she didn't have teeth. That fragrant, soft cake traveled in a wide circle, a circular motion creating a big loop of love. Love spreads, and then returns to its starting point, returning to the very person who gave it. Each midautumn is different every year. Many even say midautumn is becoming bland, but I think whether it's bland or not depends on each person's perspective. Children grow up and go far, but family is still here, waiting for them to return. I turn inward with my family, just as the moon has remained for generations. No matter how much this world changes, I don't see the moon ever aging. It remains gentle, making people gaze at it endlessly without tiring. Each person carries a moonlight childhood with them throughout their lives. Though electric lights may dim the moonlight, the moon still hangs in the sky, and midautumn remains perfectly complete. There might be some lingering regret, but that's just how we see, how we feel, how we cherish and select the sparkling, warm, and meaningful things. Children nowadays have plenty of material things, they lack nothing. Sweets are piled up and they don't even want to eat them. But in truth, they are still excited. They are still taken by their parents to stroll through the streets, eat their favorite foods, neatly fold old clothes themselves, knead dough to make cakes to send to poor friends in remote, difficult areas. People change, old values change, and joys are no longer the same. But the love of adults for children surely remains. And I know that among the throngs of people coming and going, there are many fathers and mothers taking their children to stores to buy some toys and sweets, then taking their children to orphanages to give gifts to disadvantaged children. They teach their children a simple lesson about love, and children raised in such love and guidance will surely be kind people who continue to spread that affection to everyone. Then I will sit down and tell my children about the sparkles of childhood. It doesn't matter if it's my childhood or theirs. We all share that innocent purity, so that my children can have a mid-autumn night steeped in moonlight and filled with love with their family. And for you, what shape is mid-autumn?